that none of us, sitting here has. And just keep in mind that the purpose of this is to be able to pass this history down to the next generation in ways that it wasn't really passed down to us. And so you are the one that is our voice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So my name is Melvin Wade. I'm happy to be the interviewer.
Can you pull this chair?
In this
It
case,
came loose.
I just want to plug it out. Show
Plug
who's here,
came
who's
out,
talking.
too.
I'll put it back in.
Okay.
I'll put it back in.
All right.
Keep going.
Okay. I am the interviewer, and what we're going to do is I will lead off with some questions, and then I will ask others to raise questions of Charlene Crossley. And Charlene, as was mentioned, is our oldest living member of our family, and is the one that so many of us look up to as the voice of the family. The date is July 30th, 2018. And this is not only for us, but it is also for our children and our grandchildren and on and on. Charlene, the first thing I would like to ask, what is your birthday and your place of birth?
Okay. My birth date is November 19, 1938. I was born in Cook County Hospital.
And Cook County
Hospital is now called Stroger's.
Okay.
But it was, I was born in Chicago.
Okay.
And it was not just I was a twin.
Mm-hmm.
And we were born in Cook County Hospital.
Can you state your complete name?
Charlene. At the time they were looking for, we were known as Wade, W-A-D-E. But my father was Drayden, D-R-A-Y-D-E-N, Terrell, or Terrell as they call it nowadays. In the South at that time it was called Terrell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he was, my father and my mother were not married. My mother was Odell Wade, O-D-E-L-L. I think it's just O-D-E-L-L-E. I hear a phone going off. Huh?
O-D-E-L-L-E.
O-D-E-L-L-E.
That's what it says here.
Okay.
Now, who was the twin? Mention the name of the twin.
Charles Terrell.
Who we call Jack.
Most of y'all don't know, but my nickname was Toot.
Yeah.
So it was Toots and Jack.
Wow.
Hey, Toot.
You're gonna get hit across the head.
I'm trying to tell you, I tried calling it Toots once.
Don't work.
Nobody, we used it as a password for everything almost.
Now, who was your mother was Odell,
Mm-hmm.
and the father was Drayton.
Drayton. My mother was Odell Wade.
Mm-hmm.
My father was Drayton Terrell.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
He was from the South,
okay.
like everybody was from the South. My father's mother was white, and I think her name was Claudia. I never met her. I only saw a picture on the dresser of one of his sisters, Gertrude Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
That's who she was married to, and they lived up the road. All right, these are terminologies
Right.
that the generations now and on beyond would not even recognize. When I say up the road, I mean up the street is what I mean. But this picture of this lady was sitting up there, and she lived. I'm gonna say, not she, but my aunt lived as, what can I call it? 2 blocks. Cause I could stand on my porch where I grew up and see where she lived, where my aunt Gertrude Richardson lived. Gertrude Terrell Richardson. Okay. And that's when I saw this picture. My dad had come down there to visit, and it was much animosity between the Terrells towards the Wades.
Now, why was that?
You want to go there? All right. So far as I know, he had to be, he had to be, like, I want to say, forced to send finances to take care of us, because he did not,
Who's the he?
who is the he? My dad had to be forced. Okay. He was not a willing vessel to say that we were his children. Okay. So that was why the Terrell side had so much animosity towards the Wade side. All right. When we were born up here, so far as I know, Welena's, okay, is my cousin. And my mother, you want to show her? Okay, this is Welena. I don't know how many years old. Yeah, she is younger than I am. But nevertheless, my mother, when she came from Mound Bayou, Mississippi, MOUNDBAYOU, all right, every now and then I have a muscle spasm, so you all just have to bear with me. Okay, but everybody migrated from Mound Bayou to Chicago. All right. So my mother stayed with Lionel Wade, William Lionel Wade, okay? And so that's where, that's, all right?
Now,
So-
do you remember when that migration took place?
I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in 1938, remember?
Uh-huh. Now, when did you go back to, you were here in Chicago, born here in Chicago. When did you go back to Mound Bayou?
So far as I know, I was carried by my mother, Odell, and Charlene, and, okay, I was going to say Toots and Jack, okay, that's what we, named Charlene and Charles. We were carried by my mother, Odell, to Mound Bayou to be raised by Virginia Ramsey Wade when we were 8 months old. And I stayed there until I got married to Sullivan Crossley, that we sprinkled his ashes on yesterday. Okay.
Now, when was Sullivan born?
Sullivan was born December the 10th, 1935. But I mean, that's another whole thing. When you bring his side in, then you get it all mixed up with the Wades.
I see.
Okay, so the information that we need, or that we want to leave, for the children and everything, that would need to be in another session or something.
Okay. Now, who is the best person to talk to about that history, the Terrell history?
The Terrell history? So me.
So we'll have to get back to
the
you.
other side has a lot of reservations about giving out information on
Who is the other side?
Road warrior side.
The who?
Jack.
I talked to Uncle Jack
And
I
who-
think the last time I spoke with him was about 6 months ago.
Adrian, can
And
you
who are
mention
you?
your name just for this?
Like he just said, my name is Adrian.
You're Adrian
Adrian Bernard Crossley,
Crossley.
the oldest child of Charlene and Sullivan Crossley. Born January 10th, 1955, Taborian Hospital, Mountain Bayou, Mississippi.
In room number 6.
At 9:06 a.m. on a Monday morning.
Yes.
Anyway, the last time I spoke with Uncle Jack, like I said, was about 6 months ago, and I tried to get some information on the family history from him, and he still holds a lot of grudges and ill will, I guess, from his childhood. So therefore, he wasn't really ready to open up and give out a lot of information. The most of the information that I got from him was about his mistreatment as a child. So that kind of brought to light for me why he is, or how he is, why he is, or whatever.
Go ahead.
But in speaking with him, like I said, I don't know, I kind of...
Who is his resentment against?
Some against you.
For what reason?
He was not just you, but it was he. From the way he described it to me, it was you, Primus, his daddy. You know the language that he uses.
Yeah.
And
Primus, the cousin?
Yes.
Okay,
Primus Wade.
Okay, but he was a cousin. Okay.
Primus lived with y'all.
We all grew up together. We were brought up as sisters and brothers. We didn't know for a long time that we were not anything but cousins.
Right. Well, evidently, according to him, he was severely mistreated. I think more so by his daddy.
Yeah.
Than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because he gave some instances where he was beaten several times for things that he didn't do.
Yeah.
And he I think he said at 15 he had gotten his fill of it, and he went and purchased a gun and told his daddy, if you ever hit me again, I'm gonna blow your blank 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 head off. And that was the last time his daddy ever put his hands on him. So talking with him like that, I found out a lot of stuff, and why he feels, why he's so hard on the inside, and what he's feeling on the inside has come out to, him has to portray this hard iron core guy that you can't get inside me. But I guess his age is starting to soften him up a little bit, and so that's some of the reasons why he's like he is.
Well, I'm going to say something. We were visiting, my father, Drayton Terrell, lived in St. Louis, Missouri. And the relationship, from what I was told by Virginia, Ramsey Wade, okay, that when he would come to Mount Bayou to visit, when these little twin babies show up, I was the darker child, and I always called him Jack. I never called him Charles, but he was the light child, almost white. He was like a strawberry blonde and freckles. But in the meantime, when we got to be like 8 or 9 years old, was the first time we spent any time in St. Louis. But as I got older, and when I say older, at this point I can't even say how old I was, other than it's when we met Mariah, which was his common law wife, At that time, common law was accepted. But I had started my menstrual cycle, and I had washed my underwear and hung them somewhere. And Daddy came in from work at midnight because he worked at the steel mill. And he thought they were Jack's underwear. And in the middle of the night, is when he whipped him for something he didn't even, I don't know, didn't even ask questions. All right, rather than looking and seeing they were my panties, he thought they were his underwear. Our daddy was a mean man. That's all I can say. My grandmother said, Virginia said, I didn't like him. I didn't like Drayton.
Mm-hmm.
And he would try to win me over by bringing me fruit and stuff. I was this little dark, bouncy. Jack was the color of them. Most of them were very light.
Mm-hmm.
Very light. Somewhere down the line, I got a picture somewhere of Drayton and his family. Drayton and his sisters and brothers.
Now, you mentioned Virginia again for the second time. Virginia was married to Charles, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was your experience with Charles?
I never met Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia Wade, Ramsey Wade. She was my grandmother that raised me.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband, I'm thinking, died before before I was born or whatever. I don't know what all this information I got down here.
I thought it was 1939 that he passed, and you were about a year old
Then I would have had to. Mm-hmm.
Charles Wade.
Mm-hmm.
It has July 20th, 1933 on here.
Yeah, what did you do with the top to the?
Switch back in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, did you know anything about that generation before Virginia and Charles? Was any information passed down to you about them?
You know what? Nothing was ever really passed down to us.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that Eddie Washington, which was Edna's father,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that he was not my real daddy until all of a sudden Drayton shows up. And it's like, how did I get two daddies? I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
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 That was where I think the split and I don't even want to say misunderstanding, the mistreatment or whatever
Mm-hmm.
came in, because there was like the Clampets and the whatever, when you Hatfields and the McCoys,
Yeah.
where that came in, and because Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
everybody call her V.A. Wade, Virginia, okay? She had 8 children. And at Christmas time, they would come south.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom, your dad,
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin,
Mm-hmm.
B.A. Wade is what
Yeah.
we call, okay. You all lived in Greenville,
That's right.
okay. But at Christmas time, everybody would come to Mound Bayou.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when Eddie and Odell, I don't even think if Edna was born, she was really a baby then,
Mm-hmm.
But when they showed up, and this is Daddy, and then here comes, in the summertime, here comes Drayton,
Light skinned daddy.
Mm-hmm.
the light-skinned Daddy. Well, I mean, Eddie was not dark, but then I began to ask questions. I was old enough then to start asking questions. I don't think I got too many answers,
Mm-hmm.
but I began, how did I get 2 daddies?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking Eddie is my daddy, and Eddie was not my daddy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Drayton shows up, and he's my daddy. So it's like
So he came back.
he would come back more often.
Now, you mentioned the 8 children that Virginia had. How many of those can you name?
Primus, which was the oldest. I'm thinking your father, Benjamin. Then there was Charles, Lionel, Odell. This is the girl. That was my mom. Okay. Sally, Ethelda,
That's 7.
and the last one that was born, we call him Bubba, but his name was Herbert Rowan Wade, Uncle Bubba.
Yeah.
Now he was the man that was in that house more than anything else in our house. When I say, now I don't know how much. He was pretty mean too. He was kind of mean. I'll say.
He was mean to everybody but me. That's it. Uncle Bubba was always cool with me. I don't know why it was, but it just seemed like every time he was around me, he was, with me, he was always smiling and bouncing me on the knee, whatever. But I don't know how he how he treated everybody else. But like I said,
Well, I thought he was a little bit,
might have been because I was a baby. I don't know.
I just remember him from those stocking caps that he used to wear.
Well, yeah, because he used to wear what they call Murray hair cream. Huh?
Was it
Pomade, yes.
Pomade.
All right.
Slick it back with the waves.
Yeah, he had.
Stocking cap.
Wow. Okay. Keep talking, because this hurts right now.
Okay. So tell me about Mound Bayou. Mound Bayou was special to me because I would only see it, at special times
Right.
when my parents would
Would
bring
come
me
from.
up.
Okay.
What was the best thing about Mound Bayou to you? And what was the worst thing about Mound Bayou to you?
Well, I can't, when you say worse, I can't say that there was worse for Mound Bayou as a child, because when I was growing up there, so far as I know, it was all black. The oldest, most children went to what they call private school, and that would be for those that were educated. VA Virginia was she was a private school teacher at one time. Then there was one, that's where I first started school. Then when we got to be, I don't know, a little bit older, maybe when we got old enough to go to what we call the big school. All right, that was then known as Mound Bayou High School. Okay, but what I know is that because we were an all African American, and at that time we was not called African American, we were Negroes, or the N-word as they use it now. But when they came to Mound Bayou, the white people, if they were selling, at that time going door to door, selling insurance, life insurance, was 50 cents or 35 cents a month or week or whatever, they treated us different.
In what way?
In the way that respect. When they came to our house, I remember this. I couldn't have been no more about 6. And I know we just jumping all around the world, so y'all just have to pick out what you want, as information. But this white salesman, insurance salesman, came, and Mama, he knocked on the door, and she let him in, and he said, And this is the way I understood it. Morning, Annie. And she said something back to him. And when he left, I said, Mama, because she raised me. I knew her as Mama. I said, what did you say? He said, Morning, Annie. And I said, she was a character. She said, Morning, Uncle.
Oh.
Because she said he ain't got no Annie as black as I am. Oh, God. Okay. But when they came to Mound Bayou to sell anything to anybody there, they treated people in Mound Bayou with a respect because they wanted our dollars.
Right.
Now, I didn't know that was something I learned later, but I know, we were treated differently. When we would go to a place called Cleveland, Mississippi, which was like, 10, 15 miles away from Mount Bayou, then we had to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and, that kind of thing. We traveled. There was a train that came through that was Illinois Central when we would come to Chicago to visit. Okay, in Mount Bayou, we had a train station there, but we had to sit in the front. Was it the front? I'm thinking it was the front of the train, the coaches. And the white folks sat in the back. Okay, so that they would not get the coal dust that was coming off. It was a coal engine. When you got to Memphis, or before you got to Memphis, because we made every little stop. If you get on a map and see all the different little stops. But when we got to Memphis, we had to sit on one side of the station. It was a big station. And the white people sat on the other side. It was nothing but a big bench that separated us. So, this really, really hurts. Okay, but that's what I know about. I don't know how much traveling you did as a child down there.
Yeah, the time my parents would bring me were like special occasions.
You'd be on the bus?
Or
you all had a car?
We would come by car.
Okay.
And I always looked forward to those. I mean, that was what made Mount Bayou special to me.
Yeah, we used to call you it wouldn't. We didn't call you that then, because we probably didn't know that word. But he was a nerd. Melvin won every Melvin won every spelling bee in the county of Bolivar. He was smart. He would come. We would be outside playing, and Melvin would have his head on a book. So wherever he is now is a result of you spending time in the books.
And in Mountain Bayou too. I love.
Look at that picture right there.
What picture?
That one right there. Don't that look familiar to you?
Now that picture does look. I don't know why it looks.
Because it came out of your mama's house.
Oh, okay.
When you Sandra has the other one. That matches that.
Oh yeah. Sandra told me about that picture.
Okay,
now that I remember.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good morning. How are you?
Okay, now.
Now, I promised somebody I was gonna get you talking about the Masons in Mount Bayou.
Now that I really can't say a lot about it because I didn't know a lot.
Did you know Sir P.M. Smith?
Yes, I did.
Now,
yes, sir.
So what was
tall man?
Yeah.
Very respected. The hospital was, like ran by the Knights and Daughters of Tabor.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Dion did a lot of reading. He,
All right.
on that since he's been staying here.
Uh-huh.
Uh huh. But
School.
the hospital was named Taborian
Right.
Hospital.
That's right.
Okay. The only hospital
Okay.
that was open to
Right.
blacks,
Mm-hmm.
Negroes
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
at that
Oh,
time.
without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
People used to come from counties and other places to that's the only hospital.
Okay.
Later on,
All right.
T.R.M.
Yeah,
Howard
good-
was
good
brought
right
in
on
as a
it.
surgeon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then he got to be political or something.
Uh-huh.
And so he ended up building him a hospital
Talk to you later.
that was called Friendship Clinic
Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.
across the highway, which was like from here to not even all those houses across the street there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, T.R.M. Howard was one of the great African American leaders of that time period. Do you understand what made him great? Because I don't think I understand. But
I don't.
he's somebody that should be researched.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was, as much as I can remember, he was a fair-skinned man.
Mm-hmm.
And evidently he was the best surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
And they had him on the staff
Mm-hmm.
at Taborian. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of V.A. Wade's children, Sally,
Mm-hmm.
was one of the secretaries.
Oh,
At the desk, at the front desk. She was there. When Knights and Daughters of Tabor built their office building,
Mm-hmm.
Auntie was the secretary. I call her Auntie. She was a secretary in that building,
Mm-hmm.
and it was behind. Anyone that would go down, I don't even know. I haven't been there in so long. I don't know. It was, yeah. It was down the road across from the school.
Behind Taborian, a little ways, I think it's still there. Cause,
It was across the street from the school.
right, from IT Montgomery. The last time I was there, Alcorn University had did something with Taborian, so Taborian is like up and running again.
Okay, well, that's
the
been.
insurance company where Auntie worked. I think the building is still there, but I don't know if what capacity they're working on there. I don't know if it's still.
It might not even be.
Or anything like that. I don't know.
Might not even be.
Yeah, I think the building is still there, but they'd be hesitant to tear down stuff down there.
Yeah. Okay.
They just let it sit, and then
Deteriorate.
one day somebody say, "Well, let's do so." Because Taborian was closed.
A long time.
I think Taborian was closed when I was in high school, and then I went back through there a couple of years ago in the truck, and they, like I said, Alcorn had done something and got some grants or something from the state, and they opened it back up.
Mm-hmm.
So, they ain't tearing nothing down. They just let it sit there until somebody want to do something with it, and then,
Well, some of the young people, some of the that were there.
Yeah, I remember going to, when I was down there with Uncle Dan and Auntie, after school, he would take me by there and pick Auntie up, and, that going there, and all Miss Peterson and the lady from Shelby, can't think of her name.
Now, Miss Peterson, that was Isaac Peterson's wife.
Isaac Peterson.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 6 ladies in there. I want to say 6 or 7 of them, and then the guy. I remember he got killed in an accident, but the male figure in that office was, he was like the boss, and then all the ladies in there with the typer and
the record keepers.
Yeah.
So they were playing the end.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Now, I want to go back 1 minute, and take the 8 children and make sure we got all their spouses on tape too.
Okay. I'm standing up. You have to turn it around because
Okay.
the muscle spasms are just acting up right now.
Mhm.
Okay, and for whoever.
Start with Promise.
So you want to keep it on this one, or you want me to stop it and start another one?
That's fine. You know, as long as it's getting done.
It's still going. We
Yes, sir.
at
Okay.
We're at 35 minutes.
Okay. Primus Wade. I don't know what his middle name. Primus Calvin Wade.
Right.
All right. His wife was named Dorotha.
Mm-hmm.
I know no more about that than that.
I don't know any more about that.
She was. I'm thinking she was from Tulsa,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where she would come. But let me say, she was real uppity. And when I say that, I mean she was that's what we call them then. She was an educated woman. I'm thinking she was a teacher or something.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom was a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I went to Tulsa, I was 11 years old. I took Virginia. I went with Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time, and no, it wasn't the last time, but that was the first time I went to Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see, Benjamin,
Mm-hmm.
B.A. Wade,
Yeah.
his your mother,
Mm-hmm.
all right, Electra Freeman.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Okay, all right, and she was from Lamont.
That's right.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where Lamont is. All I know
It's in Bolivar County,
it
too.
is in Bolivar
Uh-huh.
County. Okay,
And they married because my mother was sent to boarding school in Mount Bayou. That's where she met.
oh,
A boarding school in Mound Bayou,
Yeah.
Mississippi. How about
If
that?
you check out some history of Mount Bayou during the cotton boom was almost Tulsa South.
Mhm.
Okay, as far as black-owned businesses,
everything.
Mount Bayou was booming
Yeah.
until the cotton went away.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one time, Mount Bayou had the most and the largest cotton gins in that area.
We
down
had
there.
more than one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was several, and like I said, the whole town at that time was booming because Mount Bayou had their own the hospital, the theater, we had a hotel. Of course, we had the funeral parlor, a couple of grocery stores, and this is like all right there on US 61. Once you got on the other side of the track, that's where a lot of the houses and stuff were. But several
Don't move it.
doctors
I'm
and
just trying to stretch.
was it Dr. Smith that birthed me or somebody like that? Was it Smith?
PM, no,
PM, no.
not PM Smith. Dr. George.
Yeah, Dr. George.
Dr. George
But
was
Dr.
assigned
George's
your.
house would rival a lot of these big mansions that we got here. That's
Okay.
going for $500,000 or $1 million.
Okay. Miller. Right there. Okay. His name was Miller. He had a 2-story house.
Yeah,
White.
Mm-hmm.
it was like
It was a white stucco type building.
Mhm.
It was some fancy houses
yeah,
there.
Yeah, like right down the
Tr-
road,
railroad
from
track.
Big Mama's house, right
Oh,
before
okay.
you cross the railroad
Can you get
tracks. You had Dr. George's house, mansion. Then there was another great big house. I think that was the White House that you was talking about.
It was right on the corner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it must have been Miller's house first, then Dr. George. But it was like 3 or 4 big houses,
Mhm.
facing the railroad track, right down the street from Big Mama's house.
Now, when Adrian says Big Mama, is he
He's
talking
talking about the
Virginia?
Crossley.
No.
No, he's talking about
I'm
Crossley.
talking about the
Oh,
Crossley.
talking about
That's
the
who I
Crossley.
stayed
Okay.
with
Okay.
as a little. I don't
Mhm.
know when I went to stay with them.
About 5. You were
Less than
you were
that.
about 5 years old.
I was going. They had to be younger than that. seemed like it was. I had something when I was 3 years old.
3
But-
years old.
Yeah. Because for a long time, just like you not knowing that Drayton was your daddy, Big Mama was Mama to me.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen my mother in, I don't know. But
I'm your mother.
I know that.
But where did you disappear to then?
Right.
Okay, I was living in Chicago working.
Okay.
Mhm.
And he was down in Mount Bayou.
And in order for me to be able to work, he was staying with Big Mama. Okay. Sullivan was in the military.
Now, what was Big Mama's name?
Bessie
Bessie.
Crossley.
Bessie Crossley. Okay. Now, why
Okay.
did you come to Chicago? You came to Chicago after you.
After Adrian, I came to Chicago in April. Adrian was born in January.
Mhm.
I had been staying with Sally, which is one of the 8 children.
Mhm.
Okay. And I had been staying with her, and she was keeping, she was taking, I don't want to say taking care of, but I was staying with her. VA was staying with her
Mhm.
because VA's house was not being kept up at that time. Okay.
Mhm.
So I came to Chicago, and I came and I was living with Ethelda.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, Ethelda lived in the building that that Edna's father and mother, Odell and Eddie Washington,
Mhm.
they owned that building.
Mhm.
So she was, So I came and I lived there.
411 South Carolina.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
5411. That's where Roger said they went looking for it the other day. I
It's
said,
gone.
ain't no more.
Yeah, it's
been
gone. Right.
It's been gone.
Yeah.
I went and looked for it a long time ago.
Yeah,
it's
it's
gone,
been
right.
gone.
Mhm.
I remember the Butternut Bakery down the street.
Yeah.
About 3 o'clock in the morning in the
You can
summertime,
smell
they
it.
had the windows open. You killing me, man. I got kind of sleep over here. You making bread.
Yes, indeed.
But that was my, here I am at that point. Okay, Sullivan and I were already married
Mhm.
before he was born, and but after he was born, it's like Auntie's house was only so big, so we came to Chicago. That was in 1956.
Mhm.
My God, I've been here ever since.
Wow. Now, we should finish the children. We
Okay,
got
who
3
else?
of them, I think.
All right, Charles Wade.
Mhm.
We call him Buddy. He was a principal of a school in Rosedale, Mississippi.
Mhm.
His wife's name was Blanche.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, they adopted Sandra,
Mhm.
and the only place they would have adopted her from would have been Taborian Hospital.
Mhm.
So I don't know. She asked me about her. Somebody was asking her recently about some of her family.
Mhm.
And so she asked me, I said, girl, I don't know. I said, I have to look in the Bible. Because I don't know. They always use the Bible as a legal document.
Mhm.
I'm saying document right now.
Other than the census.
Huh?
Other than the census.
Of the what?
Other than
Other
the census.
Than the census.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And to get information.
Mhm.
So when my daddy was here, he was dying. He came here. He knew he had cancer.
Mhm.
Okay. I picked his brain as much as I could to find out his people.
Mhm.
Because pretty much I knew my mama's side.
Right.
But I didn't know nothing about him.
Mhm.
Other than when we would go to St. Louis to visit in the summertime, which we hated. We hated it. Jack and I hated it because when we would go there, we couldn't go outside to play.
Mhm.
We would play in the backyard, sit on the back porch because they didn't have their own house at that time. Daddy didn't have his own house.
Mhm.
It was his brother's house, I'm thinking. But it was a coffee factory on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all, you coffee factory, okay? And you could just sit there and get greasy by sitting on the porch, sitting on the steps because of the oil
Mm-hmm.
from that, okay? But let's see.
Now Lionel.
Lionel's first wife. I don't know her name.
Mm-hmm.
She was kind of fair skinned. When I say fair skinned, you know,
Light skin.
okay, more so than the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
But she was also in the military
Mm-hmm.
because it was at a time when they would have military parades. Maybe it was the war was over or something, but I remember wherever she lived, wherever they lived, we were visiting. We were always visiting because we stayed in Mount Bio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then his second wife was Perlina.
Right.
Mhm.
My mother.
Mhm.
All right. He was always a businessman. He was a shoe repairman.
That's right.
He was a shoe repairman until he died.
That's
Which
right.
was the coolest thing I thought when I used to go by there. Seeing all the machines and stuff.
Yeah,
in
whole
there.
aisle with
Yeah.
machines.
Well, Ben
Yeah.
and Ben was a
Printer.
printer, but he hand set
Yeah.
The tape.
the type.
Out of the,
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
California bookcase.
Yeah.
That's what it was called.
Yeah.
California,
Yeah, 'cause
okay.
it was set up
Well,
a certain way.
he was a printer.
Mhm.
And he would have apprentices
Mm-hmm.
or students or whatever
That's
that
right.
he was trying to pass that talent
Mhm.
or that
Skill, I
that
guess.
skill,
Uh-huh.
okay, on to
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that was
hard
it.
now.
Advocate Print Shop
Yeah.
That's right.
on Eureka Street.
Yep.
No,
that was
on
the
Harvey
house.
Street.
The house
437 North Harvey.
Harvey Street.
But the
House was on Eureka.
Eureka Street.
Okay.
That's right. 305
Okay.
North Eureka.
North, yeah. Okay, who else? Ethelda
Yeah.
was not married. She was married, I'll say it like this. She was married, but it was not somebody we knew,
Mm-hmm.
that I knew,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Primus, when I say Primus, our cousin,
Yeah.
my cousin, our cousin,
Mhm.
was very much upset when she died.
Mm-hmm.
And he found the divorce papers and found out that his name was not Primus Wade,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but his name was Primus Montague.
Montague.
I did
Montague.
not know that.
Montague.
So we would make fun. Primus Wade, Montague, he think he bad.
Lord
Okay.
have mercy. Mhm. Mhm.
But he was angry
Mhm.
because he found out that his name was not Wade.
Mhm.
We didn't know what our name was,
Hmm.
but the people at the church called us the Wade children, the Wade
Mhm.
kids.
Mhm. And that was an honor. I mean, when I went to Mount Bayou and the people would say Little Wade, I
Uh-huh.
thought that was a badge of honor. You know?
Well, we just didn't know. And until they got to the place where we needed to be, it's 56%. Okay. When they started the school system started, I won't say demanding, but almost demanding birth certificates and things like that, because they had these little kids coming in, everybody with different names, and so Ethelda went looking for, I'm thinking Ethelda went looking for Charlene and Charles,
Mhm.
Terrell, because that's what we were being known as. We were known as Terrell at the school.
Mhm.
and I'm saying Ethelda. It might have even been no, it was Ethelda. She went looking. We were born in Cook County Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, do you have a certain time you're supposed to be at your?
Yeah, that's all. Just checking.
Oh,
to see the
okay.
time. Oh, I'm doing good.
Okay. But in the meantime, she says, I looked and everywhere, but we could not find them by that name.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, no, they're not named Terrell. Because my dad, at that time, they weren't made to sign the papers.
Mm-hmm.
So we were named Wade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we started. We were legally named Charlene, not spelled like I spell it now, like everybody changes the, But we were called Charlene Wade and Charles Wade.
And how was it spelled?
Wade. My name Charlean.
L.
EAN.
Oh, wow.
Instead of
Yeah.
Charlene.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, hey,
So how do you
Okay.
spell it now?
Charlene.
But that's not what's on your birth certificate.
If I'm not mistaken, Lean is what's on my birth certificate.
You don't know who you are. Who am I?
You are.
Told you I was
You are
Changed my
Kirkland.
last name to Kirkland Ghostwriter. I
Yeah.
have no idea.
Okay.
Put a question mark.
Question.
But,
That's an
I want a new
asterisk.
symbol here.
Who are you?
At one time,
Hello.
the kids in school was switching changing their own name.
Mm-hmm.
So I was gonna call myself Charlene Shirley Terrell. Shirley is not my name. Is no, if it shows up anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
it ain't right. I put that there.
Mm-hmm.
All the kids was just giving themselves names, Okay, and
Bubba,
Bubba,
who is he married to? Or was he?
you know what? He was married,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know to whom.
Mm-hmm.
Now the only wife I remember him having was named Pat.
Oh, you know something? I actually knew that.
You
I
did?
don't know
Okay.
how I knew it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She was named Pat.
Yeah.
And
I remember Pat too.
they lived over on Calumet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And so far as I know, he was supposed to have had a child
Mm-hmm.
by a lady in Mount Bayou,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not because I knew it,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just rumor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, who else?
We get all of them. Did we get Odell?
Odell was married to Eddie Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So far as I know, she was not married to anybody else.
Mm-hmm. And Edna was their only child.
Edna was their only child,
Mm-hmm.
and she was born in Wilmington, Delaware,
Mm-hmm.
because he was in the military.
Oh, okay. So that's me too, because my dad was in the military in Clarksville, Tennessee. That's where I was born.
Oh, okay.
actually.
All right. Now Sally
Mm-hmm.
was married to Dan Griffin. That's who Adrian knows.
Yeah.
Okay. But in the meantime, she had been married before, and they lived in the house where VA owned.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Her husband's name, believe it or not, do I remember that name, was Arvora Knight.
Bora Knight. A-R.
So far as I know,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was a little kid then,
Mm-hmm.
about 8 or so. Arvora Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And
First
he
time I
had a
heard that,
sister
too.
or something
Uh-huh.
named, I think, Marzella.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you talking about pulling some stuff from back.
Uh-huh.
You pulling stuff that, man, I was a little bitty kid.
Yeah.
All of us, we were little children. Primus, Jack, and Charlene.
Well, you always treated me so well. You were quickly my favorite.
Oh.
Uh-huh. And then after my parents died, as I told you yesterday, you earned great debt of thanks from me because you were able to bring order to a system I didn't know anything about. So one of my greatest fears coming back was when my mother passed, and I, didn't have any idea what to do. And Charlene was there and stepped right in and just handled everything.
Well, you know what? It's really strange that you're
Mhm.
saying that because Ethelda is the one that taught me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When Auntie died,
Which auntie?
Sally.
Uh-huh.
Sally had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Okay. Adrian was down there going to school.
Mm-hmm.
But Ethelda told me she used to work for a mortician. Maybe it was the one there in Mount Bayou. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But she says, okay, you look at this. And she says, when you go into the funeral parlor to make arrangements, don't go in there with tears in your eyes because they will bleed you.
Ooh. Mm-mm.
She said, you pick out what you want. You go in there with your mind made up. You go in there and you carry yourself in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when Auntie died, Thelda died they died like 3 days apart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I had to set up Dan's,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because Auntie was sick. When Dan died, Dan Griffin,
Mm-hmm.
which was Sally Griffin's husband,
Yeah.
okay. It's like, go in there and you set it up. So I was here and I was working, and they said, well, somebody got to go down there. None of the men wanted to go, so Charlene comes off her job to go down there to take care of all the business.
Mm-hmm.
So she taught me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there should be an heir, or we would call them heirs, or somebody now
Mm-hmm.
ought to know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not bled dry, because morticians are in it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
She said, don't go in there with no tears in your eyes, honey. She said, you dry yourself up and you go in and tell them what you want.
Well, somebody listening right there.
Well, her mother died. Oh, you mean on here?
No, I'm talking about right there.
Oh, Vanda?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how old you were when your mother died.
20.
You were 20? Okay. I
I
was,
didn't handle none of that.
huh?
I didn't handle any of that.
Oh,
My father did it.
your father.
Her sisters.
Oh, okay.
Charlene walked me through all of that too.
Yeah.
I don't know
Mhm.
what I would have done without her, because had not done that for anyone else. But then my mother passed in December 21st of 1989, and then my father had a massive stroke the 2nd of February of 1990. So within a few months,
Right,
I had
right.
pretty much lost both of them,
Mhm.
But if it was not for Charlene holding my hand and walking me through and told me the same thing, that dry your eyes, you got work to do, and
Yeah.
you can cry after you get through with this.
Yes,
But
sir.
let's go take care of this business.
Well,
Now mention your name too.
Oh, my name is Willina Wade Bell. I'm the one and only daughter that we know of, but the one and only daughter of William Lionel Wade and Perlina Wade.
Born.
I was born December 25th, 1953. And my father was born August 15th, 1915. And my mother, Perlina, was born September 18th, 1918. So that's
Okay.
my family.
That's her family.
Mhm.
Mhm. Now, you had a sister.
I had a
Did you
sister.
know Jeannie?
Oh, yeah, I
Okay.
knew Jeannie until she
Okay.
passed.
Oh,
And that was through
Jeannie.
my mother's first marriage.
Marriage, right.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know Jeannie and Willina were related. Jeannie
Yeah, that was
taught
my
me
sister.
bowling. She
Yeah.
would take me bowling
Yeah.
all the time. She was a lot better than me.
Uh-huh.
She'd blow me away.
Oh, yeah.
In somewhere in that box is a picture.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't know-
picture of
did
you
I
and-
send it
yeah,
to you?
yeah,
Okay.
I have that.
All right.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
do we have
Everybody introduce themselves.
Dion is mine.
Okay, did we get all the children, all
I
of the
thought
aunts?
we got all the children. I thought we did. All 8 of them.
Because it was 5 boys.
As a quick introduction,
and 3 girls.
I am Kirkland Dion Crossley. I am the son of Charlene and Sullivan Crossley.
Born
1959, December 25th. And
Christmas baby.
Yeah.
Christmas baby.
Christmas
So
baby,
most
yeah.
people don't
I
have
hate
2
it.
Christmas babies in the family, but we do. So,
I remember
okay.
Mama came to me one day. She says, "How'd you like a little brother or sister?" Now I'm by myself all this time. I don't. She said, "Well, you ain't got nothing to do with it." And the next thing you know, all my toys just got cut in half. I hated it.
Tried to
But
kill
then-
me ever since.
but when he went to live with Big Mama and Dylan,
Uh-huh.
they spoiled him rotten.
Oh yeah.
Spoiled anything that he wanted.
Yeah.
They gave it to him.
Uh,
I was up here working, but he was down there with them.
Living
Big Mama was taking care of him.
So Dylan was
Dylan was Big Mama's husband.
Second.
I don't know which
Second
I
one.
think that's what Daddy said.
Okay. But that was, on the Crossley side.
mhm.
Okay. And they spoiled him. He was rotten by the time we got him. He was 10 years old, I think, by the time we got him.
No, I wasn't 10 years
got
old.
it
We
back.
moved-
Wasn't
I
it
was
when we got
8
it?
when we moved in?
When we moved on,
I had to be
14,
4 or 5. I wasn't that old.
you wasn't 10 years old when I got you from
No,
down there
no,
and we moved on
No.
Blackstone?
no.
Okay.
Like I said, I was 8 when we moved here.
In this house?
Mm-hmm. So
Dion was 3 when he ran away.
yeah.
Ran away. We're down the street.
That's when Marva was living with us. Marva and Kenny. Was
Marvin
living
and
with
Kenny
us.
was living with us.
And we all went out. There was this vacant lot down the street from our apartment on
Blackstone.
And we looked around, and Dion is gone. So we went home. Is Dion? No, boy, we got in a big load of trouble that day. So we scoured the neighborhood, man, looking for Dion. Could not find Dion nowhere. Then I don't know, Dad must have came home or whatever. And he called the police, and Dion was sitting down at the police station. This boy had walked from 68th and Blackstone all the way down to across
71st
Stony
and
Island.
Stone
He was
Island.
on the other side. You wouldn't know Stony Island now in that area because it used to be what's called the Stony Theater. You remember that?
Yeah.
On like 67th or 68th Street was right there at Stony. And he was on the other side of Stony Island. This boy's 3 years old, crossed that big street by himself. So I guess the police officers saw him and took him into the station. And when Dad went down there to get him, he sitting there eating a bologna sandwich
Without the bread.
without the bread.
Yeah, not a bread. Maybe that's why you eat so much bread now. They said, we tried to feed him a bologna sandwich, but he wouldn't eat it. I said, did you give it to him with the bread? They said, yeah. I said, that's how come he didn't eat it, because he didn't like bread.
But he would eat frozen hot dogs.
He would eat, yeah.
Frozen
He'd
hot
go in the
dogs, yeah.
refrigerator and
Uh,
stand in the refrigerator and eat.
So what was your reason for running away from home?
At
there was
3
no
years
reason
old?
for running away. I just walked that way for a while, and then, well, I looked.
Yeah, we
Well,
wasn't
let me
paying
walk
no
this way for
attention
a
to
while,
him,
and then let
because
me
I
walk that way for
ran
a while.
in a lot, you know.
We lived on the corner 1458, 1454
Yeah,
and 68th Street.
Uh-huh.
It's not there.
on the 3rd floor.
With the balcony.
Yeah,
They didn't have a
Mhm.
balcony.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we're at 1:04. I mean, an
Yeah.
hour,
Hour and 4.
4 minutes.
Okay. So is it anything else that,
It's pressing this time, and does anybody else have any questions, for this time? this is a multi-phase kind of thing. And
Okay.
so we want to be able to do this at least once or twice again. But this is good for step one.
Right.
Yeah.
How old were you when you found out that you were not a Washington?
But I was never known as
Oh,
Washington.
I mean, as far as Wade and when you found out about
The
trading.
real
Yeah,
real name.
The real daddy, yes. The
You
real
know
daddy,
what?
The real name. How old were you?
I don't know how old I was, but it was like it was at a time when school systems were changing or upgrading or whatever, that we had to have a birth certificate. And this is when they went looking for Charlene Terrell,
It was.
and there was no such person.
Uncle Jack told me about that.
Mm-hmm.
He was really pissed.
Yeah,
Why was he? Yeah.
Well,
Why was
I mean,
he-
because all of those years, you go by one name, and then when you go to school, that's where he found out that he wasn't who he thought he was.
Okay.
Okay, when he first found or saw his birth certificate and said that all of this time, I've been away. Now all of a sudden I'm a Terrell, and he's I can't use his language.
No.
he would have to be angry by being a Terrell because of his relationship with
With his
Dad.
dad, yeah.
Because we were not mistreated as Wades at that house.
Right.
Okay, I mean, yeah, we got whippings because we was all and Mama, and then when I say Mama, VA, she wasn't as tall as I am, but we had a big willow tree out in the yard. We had as we would say, double wide. We had the whole property there. She would take that switch. Primus would always run under the bed because it was always something they did. I did everything I could to stay out of trouble. She would just lean over and do like this. He'd come.
That must have been the thing, because I used to do, you said Big Mama spoiled me. Yeah, she did, but I got my little butt.
You got wood pump?
And that big old willow tree she had out in front of in the front yard. And the bad part about it, go get me a switch.
Make you go get something and
I'm
get
gonna
your
go
whip.
get you something to beat me with.
You actually coined the term. You just don't realize it.
Go get me a switch. And I would always run under her bed, because it was back in the old days, the bed,
Sat up
you
high.
could fit a shipping trunk underneath
Yeah.
one of them. And she gonna let you get under that bed and
Yeah, that's
you
all she
go
had
flying
to
out the other side.
Now,
But-
VA didn't she have some Native American blood in her?
You know what? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking she did.
Mm-hmm.
And only because I think at that time, maybe a lot of the people in Mount Bayou had
Mm-hmm.
somebody at the door. Oh, that's a mayor person. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, maybe a lot of people in Mount Bayou might have had
Mm-hmm.
Native American in them.
Mm-hmm.
Because Daddy said that my grandfather, his name Cornwallis, Cornwallis something.
It just says Cornwallis Terrell.
Okay.
Approximately 1849.
Wow.
That was Drayton's daddy.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And I guess his daddy was Harry Terrell.
Harry.
Yeah, that's what's over here. That's a great grandparent.
Wow.
And then I guess Cornwallis' wife was Claudia something. She was white.
Right. I wrote Cornwallis. Okay, that's father. Okay. Daddy said it was like 15 of them. He said it was a bunch of them. Them
What,
Terrells.
The Terrells.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We had on the Wade side there was a Uncle Lit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bert.
I
Okay.
remember seeing Uncle Lit's
Lit.
name in the letters that Uncle Primus used to send.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And who else? Anna,
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Anna.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Lionel, I think Lionel used to live with Aunt Anna.
He did.
And didn't she get quite old? Because I thought I saw Aunt Anna.
You know what?
Uh-huh.
This family, they were not short livers. Now, Auntie was like in her, she was like in her 50s or 60s when she had a heart attack. Sally,
Aunt Sally.
Aunt Sally. Sally Wade Griffin.
Yeah. Now, Miss VA, she had asthma, right?
Who?
VA.
I don't remember her having asthma. Ethelda was the only one in the family I remember having asthma.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She had asthma and a vodka drinker.
Yes,
Man, she could drink that stuff by the glass
Like
full.
water, boy.
Now, that was how the liver got bad, and then didn't she have dialysis?
Yes. Well, you know what? I don't even know if they had dialysis at that time.
Uh-huh.
But she did have to have, like, cobalt. They were using cobalt
Uh-huh.
as a treatment for asthma at that time. Charles, there were several in the family that had kidney problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said always tell your kids the different conditions
Mm-hmm.
that have ancestral. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And Edna, so far as I know, is the only one in our generation. And she had a double nephrectomy. She had both of her kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
And then she married Brian.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian being from England,
Mm-hmm.
they were father advanced in medicine over there.
Mm-hmm.
And he convinced her to put her name on the list. And when she got her kidney, it kicked in, he said, instantly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Matthew is a miracle because women that had kidney transplants
Mm-hmm.
were not supposed to be able to get pregnant.
Wow.
And Matthew is here. She took care of her kidney.
Mm-hmm.
She took all the medicine. She was on dialysis for about 1.5 years, I think, somewhere in that vicinity. And when she got the transplant, she says, "I done changed colors." She said, I'm changed colors.
Wow.
You know, maybe I took that, you know, maybe I got a white person. Maybe I got a white person. Maybe I got a white person's blood, you know. But it was because she had been on dialysis for so long, and that is where, you know, it changed her color. She was darker because she was going so often. They were nowhere near the advancement. You know, my mother died of kidney uremic poisoning. She died of it, okay? So this is why I say you don't play with it.
That's right.
Tell your kids, don't play with it, you know, because there are some things that have passed on down the line.
That's right.
But Edna said when she went into the hospital, she had to drive her. I ain't gonna tell you about that marriage. To
Roger.
to Roger. But she drove herself to the hospital. And she said when she got that, she had a dream that it was a big, ugly root. And she had given her life to the Lord then. And when I got there, I said, I'm coming down there because Roger was little, he was in grade school.
Mhm.
And we prayed. And we came against that ugly root. Because she said God showed her an ugly root. But they wouldn't, I couldn't I was a match.
Mhm.
But my husband wouldn't let me do it.
I remember that.
Because he
Wow.
said it was too sick in the family would not work.
Mhm.
So he would not let me be her transplant.
Wow.
So she just had to wait a little bit. But it was only a little bit. Because when it kicked in, Brian called, he said, the kidney is operating perfectly. And the only problem she ever had out of it, eventually over the time, was that where the leg was concerned, the bones.
So I want to ask one last question.
Okay.
Since your energy is so good
My energy, I wish
and
this.
your state of mind is so good,
Yeah.
I'm just amazed at your memory.
I'm amazed.
But this generation, our generation, Willina's, mine, yours,
Okay.
Edmund's, let's name all the people. Let's at least get on tape all the people from our generation.
That, so far as I know, me and Jack are the oldest.
Uh-huh.
Then it would be you,
Uh-huh.
and then Willina.
And
Sandra is how old are you really?
I'm 64 now.
You're 64.
Yeah.
I don't think Sandra is quite that old.
She just had a birthday.
Huh? She just had a birthday?
recently.
Okay, then she may, because she was here, she visited me this summer.
So,
But
so my birthday is November 5th, 1943.
okay, Edna was born June 3rd, 1940. She was born before you or after you?
We're close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not sure exactly, but I know we're very close.
She's like 11 years older than me.
Huh?
Edna was 11 years
11 years
than me.
older than you. Okay.
And you are how old now, Adrian?
62.
62. So she would be 73, something
I
like
was
73.
like 6 years older than her.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's it. There are no. The generations now is there, and then theirs.
Lord have mercy. Y'all better get ready. It slips up on you.
You know, it,
Who you talking about getting ready? It's already here. Ain't that slip? Jump right up. Smack you up there. Yeah, I'm here.
you hear?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
now
yeah,
Vandy,
and I
you
guess
got.
it would be something also to reach out to Jack's kids
Oh, yeah.
and their grandkids.
Yeah.
They're kind of next
That's
in line
the,
also.
Yeah.
that's the generation, because I think it's me, Angel.
Tear.
I don't know who's older, Dion or
Charles, there
Tier.
was one named Charles.
Yeah, Charles Jr.
Charles and Kanye.
And
Donnie's
Danye was
dead.
the one that was killed.
Right. Yeah, he got killed in a car accident.
Okay, then there was a grandchild that died in the fire with Maxine.
Oh, is that right?
Mhm.
I didn't know that. I
There
just
was, she wasn't the only one. They were barbecuing on the fire escape or something.
Oh.
What man?
Nothing, we still on here.
I'm looking out the window.
Okay. Yeah.
There's some stickers over there.
Yeah.
Then hurry up. Take your badge out there with you.
She might be in the car.
He stopped at your vehicle, dude.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Whoa, whoa, hey, whoa, whoa.
Okay.
Okay, you want me to
What
stop?
is it, like a
Or
ticket
keep
or
going?
something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, if you don't have a little red sticker, that's a $75 ticket.
Red
Dang.
sticker for parking over here.
Mm-hmm.
So I better check out.
Yeah.
Let's see
Oh,
what's
so
going on.
Dion's got a handful of them out there.
Yeah.
It's usually a meter maid. See?
So I'm gonna have to get
Neighbors,
somebody to give me a ride to the airport.
About what time?
airport?
I'm at what's the farther one? Not
Okay.
the
Stop
O'Hare.
this.
Yeah,
Wow,
O'Hare.
way out
Oh.
Uh huh.
there.